My girlfriend screamed at me in front of the entire crowd. "You'll never make a decent husband. I'm not marrying you." I stayed completely silent. I simply met her gaze for a few seconds, then turned and left the room. That same night, a message popped up from one of her friends. "Do you have any idea what went down once you walked out?" I'm 29 years old, and just 3 weeks back, I genuinely believed my future was sorted. I'd been together with Emily for nearly 4 years. We first connected at a friend's birthday gathering, clicked right away, and less than half a year later we were sharing an apartment. She worked as a legal assistant at a medium-sized law office in the city center. My job is in supply chain coordination. We weren't wealthy, but we managed comfortably. We discussed getting married. Last holiday season, we even browsed jewelry stores together. She had admired a beautiful blue topaz ring displayed in one of the mall shops, and I quietly returned a couple of days afterward to inquire about payment plans. The evening everything fell apart was meant to be joyful. My cousin Nathan was hosting his engagement celebration at his suburban home, a lovely property with a beautifully maintained garden and roughly 40 guests. Emily had seemed off for days, distant, short-tempered, but I attributed it to pressure from her job. She'd complained that her supervisor was pushing hard on some urgent filings, and she'd stayed late at the office 4 or 5 evenings that week. I offered to drop off food one of those nights, but she refused, insisting she'd picked up a sandwich from the cafe below the building. We got there around 7 p.m. The gathering was lively, with tunes coming from speakers on the patio, groups chatting inside and outside. I was standing near the kitchen counter chatting with Nathan and a couple of buddies when Emily approached holding a glass of wine. Her cheeks were red, and it was obvious she'd already downed a few drinks, probably 3. "Can we speak?" she asked, but her volume wasn't discreet. It carried, and Nathan paused mid-sentence to glance over. "Of course, what's going on?" I replied evenly, hoping to move the conversation somewhere quieter. "I'm being serious. We have to discuss our relationship." I looked around. Heads were turning. Nathan's fiancée, Lauren, watched us with worry from the far side of the room. "Let's step outside then." "No," she interrupted sharply, raising her voice further. "I'm done faking it. You know what? This isn't going anywhere. You could never be a good husband. I'm not going to marry you." The music seemed deafening all of a sudden. The space felt utterly quiet. Everyone's eyes locked on us. Heat rushed to my face, my fists tightened without thinking, yet I forced my face to stay blank. I held her stare for what felt like forever, searching for any sign she might be joking or just intoxicated. Her expression was cold, almost vicious, challenging me to react. The woman in front of me felt like a stranger. I said nothing. I simply pivoted, picked up my coat from the nearby seat, and exited through the front door. Behind me, someone muttered, "What on earth was that?" And then the whispers began, hushed and curious. I drove back to our place without turning on the radio or calling anyone. Only the sound of my breathing and the road noise filled the car. My hands trembled against the steering wheel. When I reached the apartment, I sat motionless on the sofa in darkness for at least an hour, staring blankly. Streetlights painted patterns on the opposite wall. My mind looped through the scene endlessly, searching for clues I'd overlooked, mistakes I'd made. Then my phone vibrated. It was a text from Lauren's friend Mia, one of Emily's oldest college buddies. "Do you have any clue what happened once you were gone?" I stared at the screen for a moment before replying. "What do you mean?" The typing bubbles appeared instantly. Then, "Can we talk on the phone?" "Yes." The call connected almost immediately. "Hey," Mia said, her tone shaky, as though she'd been weeping or was close to it. "I don't even know the best way to tell you this, but you deserve the truth. Right after you drove off, Emily fell apart. She burst into tears, insisting she hadn't meant any of it, that fear had taken over. But that isn't the hardest part. What's worse, my own voice sounded empty." Mia paused. I could hear the distant sounds of the party, laughter, clinking glasses. Nathan's brother, Ethan, was present. "You know Ethan, don't you?" I did. Ethan was Nathan's younger sibling, around 26, worked in investment banking, always sharply dressed, and loved bragging about his investments and workouts. "Yeah, I know him. Emily has been involved with him for at least 8 weeks. The ground seemed to vanish beneath me. The room spun. "What? I had no idea until tonight, I promise." "After you left," Ethan approached her and tried to console her. He wrapped an arm around her shoulders, and she melted against him as though it were completely ordinary. Not the way friends comfort each other, more like a couple. Then I caught him saying, "You told me you'd break it off neatly. This wasn't how it was supposed to go." That's when everything clicked. I pulled her aside in the guest bathroom 20 minutes ago and asked directly. She confessed the whole thing. I couldn't form words. My mind struggled to absorb it all. It felt like a scene from a terrible drama. She said it began at a networking mixer Ethan attended in September. Mia went on, breaking the silence. They crossed paths, started chatting, and things escalated from there. That's how she described it, as though it were some unavoidable slip. But 8 weeks isn't a slip. That's repeated, deliberate decisions. Is she still at the house? I finally asked. Yeah, she's still there, playing the wounded role. A handful of people are trying to soothe her, but most guests seem uneasy. Lauren is furious. I think she wants Emily to go home. Thank you for letting me know, I said, my voice breaking slightly at the end. What will you do now? I haven't decided. We ended the call, and I remained on the couch in the dark for another hour. Then clarity hit me like a switch flipping. I opened my laptop and signed into the joint checking account we'd opened 2 years earlier for household expenses. We each deposited a fixed sum monthly to simplify bills. I reviewed the recent activity. At first glance, nothing stood out. Rent, utilities, groceries, streaming services. Then unfamiliar entries caught my eye. A bistro called Harvest Table, an expensive spot in the downtown area I'd never visited. $195 about 2 months earlier. Another meal there 3 weeks later for $225. Next, a charge from a small luxury in $370, dated 4 weeks back, located just a short drive from our building. Emily had claimed she was attending a professional seminar in Boston that weekend. I captured screenshots of every questionable item. There were 12 in all. Update when I didn't close my eyes once that night. I stayed awake, laptop glowing, staring at the evidence and reflecting on every deception. Every late night at the office. Every weekend, she claimed exhaustion. Every pointless argument she started. I now understood those were likely guilt-driven. Around dawn, I heard the front door unlock quietly. Emily slipped inside, trying not to make noise. She wore the same outfit from the party and looked drained. I sat at the dining table, laptop open, untouched coffee gone cold beside me. She stopped dead when she noticed me. We have to discuss this, I stated flatly. She set her bag down and folded her arms tightly. Her eyeliner had smeared, hair disheveled. I know I ruined everything last night. I was intoxicated, and how long have you been involved with Ethan? Her face lost all color. What are you talking about? Don't make things up. Stop. Mia explained everything, and I pulled up the bank records. I rotated the screen toward her, showing the marked transactions. She gazed at them in silence, lips parting then closing again as she searched for an explanation. Finally, her posture collapsed. It wasn't intentional. Things just unfolded. 8 weeks isn't unfolding. 8 weeks is a full affair. 8 weeks means choosing him repeatedly. I felt lost, she whispered, voice trembling. We've been together so long. Everything became so ordinary. I started questioning if this was truly what I wanted forever. Ethan brought back a spark, made things feel alive and unpredictable again. So you chose to shame me publicly in front of dozens of people because our life felt too stable? Anger surged through me, sharp and burning. That's unfair. No. What's unfair is that I invested 4 years creating a future with someone secretly testing other options. What's unfair is that I was researching payment plans for a ring while you used our joint funds for secret dates and hotel stays with my cousin's brother. She began sobbing, but the tears struck me as calculated, a tactic rather than genuine remorse. I'm so sorry. Truly. I messed up badly. Please, can we discuss fixing this? Can we try again? There's nothing left to fix. I want you gone from this apartment by Friday. But this is our home. The lease is solely in my name. You moved in after I'd already lived here for a year. Look at the documents if you doubt it. She stared at me as though I'd struck her. You're actually forcing me out? You destroyed us the moment you started sleeping with him. I'm only formalizing it. She walked out of the kitchen without replying. Her bedroom door banged shut, and soon muffled sobs came through the wall. I felt no sympathy. Update 2: Emily vacated 4 days later. She attempted to claim several items I'd purchased long before we met. The living room table, a storage unit, even the high-quality food processor. I showed her the purchase records saved digitally, and she dropped it. The entire move out was detached and transactional. We spoke only about practical matters. I'm keeping the flatware. Those were from my family. Understood. Her mother and father arrived Saturday morning with a rental truck. Her father avoided eye contact entirely. Her mother gave me a sorrowful glance, as though I were the guilty party. I didn't bother clarifying. Ethan tried contacting me. 2 days after she left, he sent a lengthy message expressing regret, claiming he never intended things to spiral, and that he valued me too much to ruin my bond with Nathan. It was several paragraphs of self-justification. I accept complete blame. I hope someday we can reconcile. I deleted it unread and blocked him. A couple days afterward, Nathan phoned. I heard the story, he began. Ethan gave me his version, but I needed yours. I laid out every fact, the public outburst, the infidelity, the financial trail, the deception, all of it. Nathan stayed quiet through the entire account. When I finished, he remained silent for a long stretch. Finally, he spoke. I'm truly sorry. I had zero knowledge. Ethan is family, but what he did was indefensible. I'm not defending him. I appreciate that. Also, Lauren removed Emily from the wedding guest list entirely. She was supposed to stand up as a bridesmaid. Ethan's no longer in the wedding party either. Lauren wanted him banned completely, but since he's my sibling, he's allowed at the ceremony only, no reception. That brought a small measure of justice, though it couldn't erase the pain. Update 3. Roughly 2 weeks after Emily moved, she messaged me through Instagram. A lengthy, emotional note claiming she'd committed the worst error imaginable and begged to meet so we could talk properly. She said Ethan proved far different from what she expected, and she now understood I was the person she truly wanted. She called herself reckless and impulsive, insisting what we shared had been genuine. I didn't read past the first lines. I blocked her across Instagram, Facebook, and email completely. But here's the twist. A common acquaintance, Ryan, contacted me recently and shared the actual motive behind her outreach. Apparently, Ethan had been involved with another woman simultaneously, someone named Claire from his workplace. When Emily discovered messages on his phone, she confronted him. He dismissed her, calling her a casual distraction, insisting Claire was his real partner and things with Emily were never meant to last. Emily was shattered. Ryan said she appeared at his door late one evening in tears, asking for guidance. Worse still, she lost her job that same week. Repeated tardiness, missed targets, and a heated confrontation with her supervisor over paperwork errors finally ended her employment. Her boss had been patient for some time, but the shouting match crossed the line. Ryan mentioned she'd been reaching out to various friends, hoping someone would persuade me to reconsider. Nobody agreed to help. Several told her directly that her actions were beyond forgiveness. Final update: 3 weeks have passed since that awful evening at Nathan's house. I'm still working through the emotions, but I genuinely feel unburdened. The apartment feels emptier, yes, but it belongs to me again. I shifted the layout, removed every trace of her, photos discarded, some novels she left donated, new bedding purchased. I've started early gym sessions before heading to work and picked up reading again. Small routines that help me rebuild. Nathan and I remain tight. His wedding is 2 months away, and I'm still part of the bridal party as a groomsman. Ethan is excluded from the reception. Nathan stood firm on that. From what I gather, Ethan and Emily attempted to continue for perhaps a week after she learned about Claire, but it collapsed quickly. He cut contact and blocked her. She showed up unannounced at his place once. He warned he'd involve authorities if she returned. Last I heard, she relocated to her parents' house about an hour from the city. She remains jobless and spends most days in her old room. Mia occasionally messages to check on me, which I appreciate. She feels bad for missing the signs, but I reassured her it wasn't her responsibility. Emily hid it well. If Mia had known, she would have spoken up. I'm single right now. I'm nowhere near ready for anything new. But I'm not angry or resentful. I'm simply grateful. Grateful I discovered the truth before marriage. Grateful I didn't invest for more years. Grateful I never bought that topaz ring and proposed, only to uncover this nightmare after vows. Grateful I exited when I did, head high. Looking back, that humiliating moment at the party, when she shouted those words in front of everyone, felt devastating then. Today I see it as a blessing. She revealed her true character plainly, allowing me to escape before legal or financial chains bound us permanently. Edit 1. Some have asked whether I ever directly addressed Ethan. No, he isn't worth the mental effort. Whatever I might say would only serve my pride. He must live knowing the type of person he chose to be. That's consequence enough. Edit 2. No, the Instagram plea wasn't remorse. It was panic after her fallback option crumbled. Desperation, not apology. Edit 3. I had intended to propose this coming December. Bullet officially dodged.